not gritty. My husband's like a 10. You give him a job, it's like, he just does every single day what you tell him to do. He's like the guy that goes to the Rose Parade and they say, put this flower in this giant wall, and he sits there and fills the whole wall. And everybody else is like, done with this section, they're like, I'm bored, give me something else to do.
But
That's the difference.
he's probably obsessed with completing that task before he starts the second one, though.
That's a grit.
Yeah.
That's a part of the grit factor. So you want to just beware of your grit factor. Because if you are like me and it's low, you have to be aware of that and you have to use your calendar at a high level, right? Because I'm like, at this point, I don't even decide, my calendar just tells me. I'm not even in charge anymore. Just do what the calendar says to do. It just makes my life easier. All right, lead generation, how do you create your business? You guys know what lead generation is? Yeah? Good. What'd you say?
Oh, she's like expanding your net.
Yes, absolutely, and talking to the people that you know. All right, sphere of influence, also referred to as SOI, people who know, like, and trust you. Would you guys agree that real estate's a pretty large purchase? Would you agree that it's probably a little different than, like, I could probably force someone with really great sales tactics to buy a 1995 widget, but I'm not gonna convince you to buy a $500,000 condo because I'm just that good at sales, right? It's a matter of being there for people with what they need, right? Now, there are ways to create opportunity for real estate, absolutely, and we'll talk about those. That being said, it's about being there and showing up and being of value, and that's what you want to be through your sphere. Database, we also call them your METs. Do you know what METs stand for? It's a trick question. Met, like I've met them before. That's literally all it stands for. For like a month, I was like, what's that acronym? And they're like, no, it just means you met them. Okay, I got it. All right, your big why, we talked about that. Your biggest reason for doing all of this. All right. Would you like to know your job description? Okay, so a lot of people come into this business, they think their job description is to show people houses, have them buy them, and make money, right? Because that's the fun part. Why'd you get your real estate license? Somebody tell me. Why real estate?
Flexibility.
Flexibility. Love that. Who else? Somebody else share with me. Why real estate?
I have one more. Nobody else.
Daniel.
High income potential.
High income potential. I love that.
That's
Yeah.
good.
We can all get rich. It's real estate. I still don't, I always say it this way. It used to be the #1 way to get wealthy. I'm not sure if tech has actually surpassed it, but it's still a really good way to get wealthy. And I don't know enough about writing code, so I'm gonna stick with the real estate piece. All right, so this is actually your job description. Lead generate, which we talked about. Okay, so what do we do after lead generate? Does that seem pretty basic? Do you know how many people don't do that? No, I'm dead serious. Do you know how many agents do not actually follow up with a lead?
Most.
You're probably right, most. And you know what they say? They'll call me when they're ready. No, they won't. They will call someone else, or they will walk in another open house, or they will go somewhere else because you didn't follow up. It's our job to follow up. It is. It's our job to let people know what's going on in real estate and be the resource, right? So that they do call us when they're ready. Does that make sense? So when you have that painful experience of somebody you know is like, oh, we're in escrow on a house, and you're like, what? And you're thinking to yourself, what just happened? I have my real estate license. Well, you probably told them once or twice, and then you didn't follow up. Whose fault is that? Oh, it's like a shot to the heart. But you have to take it and be like, that is never happening again. So I want that to never happen to any of you, right? I do not want you having that, like, come in your coach going, my best friend's an escrow. No. No, we don't allow that because we follow up and we lead generate. All right, set appointments. Very important. So do you guys know that you set appointments with buyers as well as sellers? Okay, why do you set buyer appointments? And what do you do at the buyer's appointment?
Lay out the expectations, or just to set the expectations and get an agreement.
Yes.
find out what they want,
Yes,
what's their dream and desire. goal.
yes. Needs and wants analysis, absolutely. Okay, and just be clear that you're a real estate consultant because you're with KW, you're not just a real estate agent. So do you know the difference between a real estate consultant and a real estate agent? A real estate agent knows how many bedrooms, bathrooms, and square feet they want and what area of the island they want to be on. A real estate consultant knows why. Because it makes all the difference in the world. And remember this, often what they buy is not what they told you they wanted. So if you find out what the real reason is, sometimes something that fits perfectly is not what they thought. That's your job as a consultant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, set appointments. When we are meeting with a seller, what is our end goal of the appointment?
Listing agreement.
Listing agreement. When we're meeting with a buyer, what is the end goal of our appointment?
Buyers.
Buyer's agreement. Buyer's rep agreement. So you'll go through this multiple times the same thing. Here's what I say. In Hawaii, we do everything in writing. This is how you hire me. We've gone through everything. I like you. I'm ready to work with you. Are you ready to work with me? Yes. Great, sign here. It's literally that simple. That is a commitment to you. You are getting a commitment from them. By the way, it's not binding. If you ignore them and don't follow up and they go buy from somebody else, good luck in court. Because you abandoned your client, right? So you gotta keep following up. But it's that commitment in the brain thing, right? We want you to have buyer rep agreements with people that you are spending time researching and previewing. We want you to have a buyer rep agreement. They hired you. Now you gotta work for them. Does it make sense? You guys have any questions about that?
What do you say when they say no?
I've had it happen twice, and I have to make the decision of whether I want to work with that client or not. One of the scenarios, I decided to work with that client. The other one, I did not. I just have to make a choice.
Does Keller Williams require that?
Nope, and we cannot require it.
Okay.
You're an agent, you're an independent contractor. It's kind of like, we can't require it, like the Ignite thing. We recommend you go through the, I can't say you have to be here every class, right? You're an independent contractor. We recommend if you want to know what you're doing, that you show up, right? Same thing as if you're following our models, you're doing what's going to set you up for more success.
Okay.
Plus, when you get a buyer rep agreement signed, it usually means you did sit down with the client, lay out some expectations. I have done buyers in escrow that never had a buyer consultation, and I have done buyers in escrow that had a consultation, and I'll tell you, you don't want to deal with someone who has not had a consultation because they don't know what is coming, and they're freaking out left and right on you. Do not do that to yourself. Like, even if it's just 15 minutes, if they're like, let's go see property. Great, we're gonna take 15 minutes, I'm gonna meet you at Starbucks, we're gonna go through your expectations, and I'm gonna give you a little information on how things work here, and then they sign the agreement, you go show them the houses. Doesn't have to be some big old long thing. Just make sure you meet with them, set up some expectations. Negotiate offers, that's the fun part. You get that look on your face. I'm just like,
That's the fun part.
I love negotiating.
Yeah.
You know what, because I think if you always come to the table with the concept of let's figure out a win-win, right? There's multiple times in a contract you're gonna be in negotiation. You're gonna be in negotiation of the purchase, you're often gonna be in negotiation with the inspections and J1 and repairs and things like that, right? So just know that you wanna think of yourself as in a partnership with the other agent, right? Or you can just dual agency and be the only person that you're negotiating with, and that's always fun too. All right, practice scripts and effective language. Yes, that is part of your job description. Now, you can practice in multiple ways. One, you can practice on clients. We don't highly recommend that. You will learn, but it'll take you a lot longer and you make a lot more mistakes. You can practice with yourself. You tend to not give yourself the best feedback though. And you can practice with a script partner, which is what we highly recommend, especially with objections. Like getting good, if you're gonna be an open house, let's say you're somebody who's like, I'm gonna hold open houses 3 to 4 times a week. Get a script partner who's also holding open houses and throw each other objections for 5 minutes 2 times a week. Because you want that moment when somebody comes in your open house and they give you an objection, and by the end of you answering it, you're like, that all you got? Like, I got this down, like I know my scripts.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to be in that position, it really does. All right. So can you sell a house today? The question is, are you posted to the DCCA? If you do not have a license, the answer is no. Okay, so if you don't have a license number, you cannot sell a house today. You are not, you're in that, we call it the limbo stage, right? And you actually have to be very careful, you can't discuss pricing, you have to be cautious, okay, until you get the license. You can let people know, my license is coming, right? You can let your friends and family know, this is what's happening, right? You can tell them that, you just can't discuss pricing. So, somebody says, I wanna buy a house, what's the first thing you need to do? I don't know. Schedule an appointment. And then what do you do right after that? Call your coach. Just to make sure you kind of got your ducks in a row, right? You're probably gonna call your coach first and be like, what do I do? Because then we're gonna go, okay, we're gonna set an appointment, here's what you're gonna do. All right, so who's your coach? Some of you know, some of you don't, correct? Who knows who their coach is? Okay, awesome, perfect. Who's your broker? Does anybody know who their broker is? Good. Who's your coach?
Kelly?
He's your broker. Okay. Do you know who your coach? I mean, who your broker is? I probably haven't assigned your broker, but I'll get that figured out. Jim, do you know who your broker is? Your
Well,
broker
I think
is-
it's Dean Otto, but there's also Derek.
I think it's Derek.
Yeah.
Dean's not really brokering.
Oh, he's not?
No,
Okay.
he stopped brokering, so it's gonna be Derek.
So, but I would go through you for, initially for,
Yeah. All right,
first.
let's talk about questions. So I want you guys to be really clear that you're in the business of asking the right questions. Does that make sense to you? Right? Have you ever heard of the concept of going 3 questions deep?
Did you say 3?
3 questions deep? Anybody ever heard of that? So basically that is the conversation where somebody tells you let's say they say, I want 3 bedrooms. And you say, why is 3 bedrooms important to you? And they start talking about it. And then you say, so what about that is important? And you just keep asking the same question. I'm gonna warn you, as the asker, you're gonna be in your head going, asked and answered, and you're gonna be like, I'm being obnoxious, but the person who's answering the question is gonna go deeper. And you're gonna be amazed by the results. So don't be afraid to go 3 questions deep, because I guarantee you, agents out there are not going 3 questions deep. And when you do that, people feel highly heard and understood. And you want a client who stays with you as an agent because they like the way you consult with them. Does that make sense? So the questions you ask are the most important thing. And if you find yourself, when you're very new, especially if you're brand spanking new to the business, you tend to talk more than you listen because you're nervous. So have you guys ever heard of the acronym? Let's see. Okay, wait. Why am I talking? And you gotta ask yourself that. I got to a point when I was very first in real estate here, I was doing a ton of open houses, and I would literally, at an open house, I would stop myself and say, I'm so sorry, it's real estate, I get all excited and I talk a lot. Tell me more about you. Just so and I would say it out loud. I'm like, why not just straight up admit that I'm babbling because I love real estate. And then start asking them more questions. So who's in the control position? The person answering the questions or the person asking? Answering or asking?
Asking.
Right, asking is always in the control position. You guys know that? So the more and better questions that you can pull from your arsenal, the better you will be at your business and consulting. All right, let's talk about LP Mama. So let's say you get a buyer lead tomorrow and somebody's like, so I want to buy a house. Okay? And you're going to be like, okay, so I had this class yesterday, so I actually know what to ask them. But before today, you probably would have done what? What would you have done? What would you have said?
If somebody said they wanted to buy a house?
Yeah.
Where are you looking?
L. What does L stand for?
Location.
Location. Sure. Where are you looking? Big Island, right? Hana. Referral. you know. Just like those guys, Kona, referral, like, how far do I want to drive or fly, whatever. Okay, excellent. What else would you ask them? Price range. P, price. Yeah, of course. What's your price range? All right, what else? Can you think of anything else?
Motivation.
Motivation, yes. Motivation. So are we talking about if we found a property tomorrow that was absolutely amazing and you were pre-approved, would you be ready to move forward? Or are we talking a year in the future? That clarity. Where are they? I can't tell you how many times I've had agents who are like, I'm looking at all these properties because these people, I'm like, have you asked them when they're ready? Oh, no. Then they come back and they're like, 1 to 2 years. I'm like, well, that was a waste of your time. Like, don't waste your time. Get clear on what the client wants so you know what your stuff is, right? So thank you, Daniel. Motivation. All right, what else? You guys are good at this.
I figure out the A stands for us.
Ability?
That's a good
property
guess.
did just that.
That's a good guess. What'd you say? Okay, I'll take you out of your misery. Agent.
Oh, are you working with another?
Are you working with another? Okay, so here's the question I always ask. I never say, are you working with another agent or are you working with an agent? I say, are you working with a local Maui agent?
Ah,
Because what I found is people often have agents on Honolulu. And I'm like, why would I, like, hey, I'm gonna reach out to one of these ladies if I have somebody on the Big Island. I'm gonna be like, referral, let's go to Jessica or Hangout. Like, I'm not going over there. I don't know that market. Even now, if it's a $5 million buyer, I might fly over and kind of like, partner up with them. That being said, I am not going to, fly to Honolulu to learn the market. Like, I gotta be able to serve my clients at a high level, right? I'm gonna refer it out, give it to somebody else, take a referral fee. A little man box money. All right, what's the second M? And they're interchangeable, by the way.
Money.
ah.
Mortgage. Or money, yeah, I like that. Yeah, so let me ask you this. If I was to say to you, so are you pre-approved for a mortgage?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you're a cash buyer, what would you think of me at that point?
You feel insulted probably.
Possibly, or maybe even think I only work with people who need a mortgage.
Yeah.
So the easy question is, are you paying cash or will you be
yeah.
obtaining a mortgage?
Yes.
That is how you always want to ask that question so you don't insult anybody and they realize you work with both, right? So it sets that tone right from the get-go. And if they say, oh, I'd be getting a mortgage, sometimes they'll be like, who has $750,000 cash? And it's just like, I don't know, somebody does. Not me, because now you know, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna relate to you. Right, are you getting a mortgage? And then the question is, are you pre-approved with a local Maui lender? Now, this is when we have the conversation about Keller Mortgage.
Yeah.
So, our current Keller Mortgage agent actually lives, there's two of them. One lives on Kauai, one lives in California. I work with the California one. She is not a local Maui lender, but she can save your clients a lot of money. We'll talk more about Keller Mortgage as we move forward. So, the reason we usually ask if they're working with a local Maui lender is why?
Because there's unique situations on Maui.
A lot of group situations.
Yeah, and funding is dependent on that.
It often can be.
It's a good fund state. It's a good fund state. Don't the funds have to? We were told it's a good fund state, and if you have a local lender, that things will go more smoothly.
Well, they understand the nuances of our real estate. I mean, you've got, in houses, sometimes you've got issues with unpermitted structures, things like that, right? They're used to working with those things. You've got what people call condo-tels, where there's actually, it's like a hotel, but it sells as a condo. A lot of mainland people are like, hands off, okay? So, if a client ever says to you, well, I'm pre-approved with a lender on the mainland, what do you ask?
are they familiar with Maui?
That's what you wanna know, but what you ask is what's your lender's name and phone number?
Oh.
Because the first thing I'm gonna do is call them, and the first question I'm gonna ask that lender is, have you ever loaned on Maui? And if the answer is no, we're gonna have a conversation. Because there are just too many things going on that they have to know. So even like our Keller Mortgage, we can't do condotels, okay? They can do primary and secondary residence, they can't do vacation rentals. So these are things we have to know. When you're in our market, you often have multiple lenders you go to for different scenarios, okay? So you wanna have sort of your lenders that you get to know. When you guys go to caravans, you'll meet lenders. And if you ask for officers, you meet everybody, all right? Okay, so money, very good. And the last A is,
But that was approved.
any guesses? What is your ultimate goal?
To sign
Yes, it is to sign them, and where do you sign them?
on an agreement
Yes, at what? Where are you at with them?
at Starbucks.
Yes, you are, I like it. It should be an S. At Starbucks. What do you call that sit down at
Appointment.
Starbucks? Appointment. Okay, so the order of these irrelevant, but the A is always the appointment, right? So how do you ask someone to meet for an appointment? What do you say? Somebody give me a script.
What's your question again?
How do you ask someone to meet for an appointment?
Hey, are you busy tomorrow? Let's sit down at Starbucks and go over maybe some of your needs and wants for buying a property.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yes, don't make it a big deal, like just ask. Yeah, just, well, sounds like we need to have an appointment. Go over what you're looking for. What are you doing tomorrow at noon? Perfect, like that simple, right? Let's connect, learn more. So, when you call your coach, remember the coach, I got a buyer. What do? The first thing is, did you LP mama them? Because if you don't know the answer to all of those questions, you cannot move forward because you don't know where they stand, right? So you gotta have that conversation. All right, then you set up the appointment, set them on a Paragon search. Some of you know how to do that, probably some of you don't know how to do that. No worries, we're gonna teach you that. You're gonna learn. Have them speak to a lender. Go see properties. So I want you to see the order here. Why is it in that order?
See if they're approved.
Yes.
Whether it's-
Yes. So, especially with, it's often different if you're dealing in the vacation rental market. Who's planning on dealing in vacation rental market? Let me know.
Not sure.
Okay, so 3 of you, awesome. So it's different in vacation rental market. There have been times that I have broken the cardinal rule and put people in my card before they are approved. And I will tell you why I have done that. I have put people in my card before they are approved because they are vacation rental buyers. So they're not going to fall in love necessarily with the property that they see because it's, first of all, it's a condo. There's multiples, right? It's not like, the heart's not behind it quite as much. That being said, if I don't put them in my car, even though they may be buying in a year or two, someone else will put them in their car, and then when they buy in a year or two, it will not be from me because I refused because they didn't have a pre-approval that they didn't really need yet anyway. Does that make sense? Good. Let's be very clear about this though. That's vacation rental only. Do not take someone out who is looking for their primary residence and show them property before you know what they can afford. Because I guarantee you, they will fall in love with the $800,000 property and be approved for the 600. And I got news for you, the 600 don't look like the 800,
Yeah.
and you're in trouble at that point. Because they're like, but that's what I want. Don't make that mistake. Make sense? Just get them pre-approved. And everyone's like, I promise I won't fall in love, just show me some properties. No, absolutely not. All right, you wanna take your best friend on caravan with you, go right ahead. I don't care if they're approved or not. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, just be cautious about that. All right, so we go see properties, we write an offer, and we open escrow. That's not hard, right? Anne Marie's got that look. It's simple. Actually, it's easy, it's not simple. All right, so you get a seller lead, what do? Say that again? Yes, we book an appointment. We also need to, what? Research, find out about the property. Yeah, well, the tax records, make sure they own it, right? You don't wanna show up to an appointment and find out that person doesn't own it. That's fun.
That's crazy.
Also check their
People
mailing
fly.
address.
Check the mailing address?
Yeah, because if it's a secondary home, then they're gonna be, have to prove to people.
Correct. I usually put that in my presentation and just ask them what the primary residence is. But yeah, you gotta find out about the property, pull the records, you gotta pull comps. We're gonna teach you how to do CMAs and things like that. You're gonna assemble a CMA and then you're gonna hold the appointment. Again, easy, right? You got this. All right, so you held a listing, seller listing appointment. So you list the property, you market the property, you get an offer on the property, you negotiate the offer, you complete the escrow process, you close the deal and you get paid. Easy, right? There's a lot of things going on in there. We are there for you. We do not want, the point here is we do not want you to be like, I don't want to talk to anybody because if they want to buy or sell, then I'm going to have to do all these things. I don't know how to do any of these things. We do. We got you. Reach out to your coach. That's what they're there for. Walk you through all these steps, okay? So I want you to know you're in great hands and we are going to take you through all of these steps. And once you do it, what'd you say?
I was like, I did all that by myself,
Ugh.
learning each step, so.
Yeah, it's
And
really hard when you're doing it by yourself and you're brand new. So we're gonna help you with all that fun stuff, all your timing, all your good stuff. All right, Ignite, we talked about that. You guys are gonna want to attend the Ignite classes because you're gonna learn so much of what we just talked about, how to do each one of those steps, how to do your buyer's presentation, your listing presentation. You guys are gonna watch some live agents do some presentations in the room in front of you, which is always fun to see. All right, so goals. How much money do you guys wanna make in real estate?
As much as I can.
Good, but I can't track it, so give me a number.
Per year?
Yeah, yearly.
150.
All right, $150,000. How many houses do I have to sell to make $150,000? Yours no?
Those-
Hmm?
I just want how much that was or something.
Yeah, if you
So how
close,
much-
yeah, if you
so-
close at $10 million, then sale.
150 million to you. So when we looked at that capping model, a cap is, and mind you, you know, the rate that's being offered, the commission is fluctuates, right?
Mhm.
So you got 2.5, you got 3, so we average it at like 2.75. If you average it at 2.75 to be a cap rate, you gotta sell about 4 million. Okay, so take 4 million. Just make sure I got that right. Sometimes I'm good at math, sometimes I'm not. Yeah. 110. So that's about, I think it's like 4.2 actually. But you gotta sell about 4.2
Homes?
$1 million.
Millions.
Within,
million dollars. Did you have a question?
No, don't
Not
you
to
have
get there, to get to capping. Yeah, not to get there,
Wait a minute.
just to get to capping. No, we're talking about capping. And capping is about 70, that's what we said, right? So this is 40 more than 70, so then we have to figure out an add-on. The biggest question you have to ask yourself is what's your average sale price gonna be? So have any of you considered what niche you're going to be working?
I'd like to do work with investors to do investment sales just because of the finance background and my consulting background.
Seems like a perfect fit for you.
You know,
Yeah, so are we talking about flips? Are we talking about,
It could be flips, it could
Okay.
be rental properties, vacation rentals, just something where they're looking for cash flow.
right?
And assets.
Excellent.
and Appreciation, sort of thing.
Have you dug around on the MLS at all?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so any idea of what kind of price range that would probably be falling in?
Well, it depends on, I guess, the property type. If you're looking at like a multifamily home, I think west side, you're looking at a minimum of $1 million
Yep.
to even be in the ballpark. So I'd say 1 to 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the single family homes, what about on the condos?
Condos, maybe you can get into something probably for $350 on a good deal.
Yeah, like a Kahana Manor or something?
Yeah, exactly, but I mean, more likely, I'd say, I would start with somebody and say, look, you need $500,000 to start, like, this is, you're gonna be, if this is a first deal or something like that,
Right.
first Maui, 500,000 will probably get you something, you know, that's rentable and gonna have low, you know,
Yeah.
or high occupancy.
Exactly.
How we look at it.
So it sounds like you kind of know your entry levels, you kind of know your averages.
Right.
This is really good to know for all of you. What is your niche gonna be? Like, what are you gonna focus on, right? I keep getting kicked off here. I gotta fix this. So it's important to know your niche because if you don't, and I know, is anybody thinking that I wanna help everybody? Is anybody thinking that?
That's probably the default.
It's okay to be thinking that if you guys are. No? I'm the only
I
one
mean,
out
I'm gonna do the shotgun approach.
Yeah. I'm gonna help
I
everybody.
will rent you an apartment.
Sorry, ladies.
So,
So-
my 3.5 for you.
Okay, so, yeah, so is anybody thinking that way? Like, I'm gonna work everybody. Why would I turn anybody away? Okay, so be very clear, I'm not saying turn anybody away. Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about getting good at something.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality, I trust you to be good at what I need if you're good at something. Like, show me you're good at something. And then if I go, well, I kinda need that. Okay, so for example, for me, I started off, I was gonna do vacation rentals in South Kihei. That was like my focus. Because I had an open house I could pretty much hold every day. So I was like, that works, there's my niche, right? I got to know inside and outside the vacation rental condos. I had my favorite, I knew most of the developments, I knew how many condos were in there, I knew what was included, I walked the properties, I knew why this one was better than that one according to my opinion. Like I could talk the talk. Didn't sell vacation rental condos though. Sold long-term rental condos, sold a house in Wailuku, like I didn't sell to what I was niching necessarily, but people trusted me because I had the experience and I knew how to dig deep into one area. So you tell me what you're looking for, and they trust me to dig deep into what they're looking for. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, so I'm not telling you like, if somebody is like, I'm looking for you, you'd be like, no, I don't do that. Unless they say Hana, and then you go, no, I don't do that, but I know somebody who does, right? Here's the reality though, you got to be good at something, you have to start somewhere. So figure out where your somewhere is that you're gonna start and what you're gonna know, okay? Yes.
You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is, for example, working on the west side, if somebody comes in and they want Kihei.
Yes.
Well, I wanna know somebody in Kihei, one of the agents here that I can trust.
Yes.
Because it's just a time, there's not enough time to be driving back and forth and dealing, and not knowing the inventory over here.
And not knowing the market, yeah. No, I agree with you. Right now, if somebody came to me and they were like, I'm only gonna do from the west side, I would give them away.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have time to drive to the west side, and I don't have that as much knowledge on the west side. At some point in my career, I was fine with going up there and learning the market. But right now, that's just not a possibility, so why wouldn't I just give it to somebody and let them take the referral? You want the client handled professionally in a consultative way. If you cannot do that, then give them to somebody else, right? If you can't, oh, and by the way, if any of you have Big Island clients, we have our agents for the Big Island, so we have the referrals ready and with Keller Williams to take your Big Island clients for you. So just be aware that your niche is important because you gotta learn somewhere. So we get a lot of times people will say, I'm gonna learn the whole island. Well, start somewhere, right? So where do you wanna focus? Maybe if you live in a certain area, learn your area, right? But pick something. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna commit right now. Anne Marie, what are you gonna focus on?
Commercial, luxury, and corporate complex.
Very nice, that's an itch. Anthony, what are you gonna focus on?
You know, still working on it, but we were talking about the luxury side, because that's where it came from.
Luxury, perfect.
Yeah.
Daniel, what are you gonna focus on?
Maybe South Kihei?
South Kihei, condos or houses?
Condos.
Excellent. Vacation rental or non-vacation rental?
Vacation rental?
Okay, so, because if you say non-vacation rental, you have like 5 complexes. There just aren't that many. You're gonna wanna pick up a condo book. That'll make your life easy. Awesome. Tom, you're gonna focus on the investors?
And that's, yeah, I'm
Good.
kicking around the idea of commercial stuff too, yeah, so just
Yeah.
making it part of that.
I live up country, so we'll go country living.
Yeah, perfect, get to know that market, get to know it well. Ladies, what are you gonna focus on? K-How, what's your focus gonna be? Houses? Houses in Kona, perfect. Jessica, what are you gonna focus on?
Probably Kamakua.
Okay, and that's houses, correct?
Houses, then there's vacant land there too.
Land, perfect. Pick one, either the houses or the land, get really knowledgeable about it, then add the other piece. And often you wanna consider what's the production, right? What's happening in there, is there enough moving, right? So like for you, Jessica, if you were like, I wanna get to know the land, but the land takes a year to sell, like that may not be your best thing to learn. Does that make sense? Did she hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect, okay. Lee,
A country, Makawa, Pukalani, Kula.
very nice.
Well,
Any price range or,
Makawa, Kula, at like, 1.5 and less.
excellent. I would say probably pick one of them first to start, like start in Makawa and then add on once you feel like you have a really good, awesome. Jim, what are you focusing on?
Well, definitely West Maui, you know, I'm still trying to land on the focus. I've done vacation rental, properties, but I also have a lot of friends for owner occupied houses, so that kind of thing is what's, I really enjoy doing probably the most, but, you know, I know a lot about the condo hotels, so that would be probably, you know, I'll find my groove along the way, but I don't wanna, I think I wanna keep that open for a while to see how it works.
Kind of see who shows up, see
Yeah.
what shows up,
We'll see what
right,
the contacts are really looking for too, you know.
as you reach out.
Yeah.
For sure. That's awesome, because you gotta narrow down to two. And you understand they're different. That's
Yes.
the whole key, is right,
Yeah.
you're understanding, you guys getting it, like we're dialing kind of in. Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Martha?
Central, probably Central Maui, Kailua, Nicole. I'm just really familiar with that area, and then I think it's good for the local families, the young families, and then also some of the investors, like local investors. Because where I live, you can get a 10,000 square foot property, and most of them have cottages on it, so like the buy and hold. So a lot of people I talk to, they're interested in those properties because there's no like HOAs and, you know.
Right, that's what they're looking for. Nice.
Like blue and single family.
Very good. Entry level or higher level?
Probably mid.
Okay. Good. Have a conversation with me later, because I have a listing coming up for that. So if you are interested in doing open houses, we can have a conversation about that. Okay, so that's the thing, and here's the other, for any of you that are gonna do open houses, like, it doesn't have to fit in your model. Like, just get out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, just get out there and do it. Do not turn down the open house opportunities, because when you look at most of the highly, highly successful agents on this island, they started out just doing open houses like crazy. That's just how they built their business, so never wanna turn that down. Awesome, you guys. Okay, so how much do you have to do, let's see, how much money do you wanna make in real estate? Okay, how much do you have to do every day to make that happen? So, you wanna make 150,000, you got to break it down by what your average commission is gonna be, so you gotta kinda have an idea. And again, remember when we were talking about if you track your numbers, you have a better idea? Like right now, you guys don't know what your average commission is gonna be, but because of that niche, you can sort of say, okay, this is what that area range is, so it's probably gonna be my average. How many do I have to sell, right? How many do I have to sell after the capping, the split, to make that amount of money? And then, what do you have to do every day to make that happen? So, if you own the MREA book, we also call it the Red Book, that's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. If you own that book, page 131 will break it down to you for how many appointments you actually have to have in order to convert. Now, you're not gonna have your percentages, but your coach will walk through your percentages with you. Because remember, there's an amount that we break down every time, right? So for how many conversations does it take for me to get an appointment? So just on average, how many conversations do you think it takes a brand new agent before they can set an appointment? 25? Good guess. I appreciate the guess. 80.
80.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry?
Come on.
80. 80 conversations as a brand new agent. That is the average, 80. Now, how many conversations does it take for a seasoned agent to get an appointment? 4. I wish. 20.
20.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
They know what to say. They know how to read people. They can guide the conversation.
That is all true. They probably are well practiced in their scripts. All of those things are true. There's something else that's also true.
Have more contacts.
They potentially have more contacts,
More
yes.
leads.
Building trust.
Yes, they have been talking to these people with consistency over long periods of time. So once you have this relationship built, it's almost like your network is waiting to hand you leads because they know this is what you do and you've been showing up with value for a while. Does that make sense? So it's a consistency thing that adds to it as well. You can get to that point. Now, how do you get from the 80 to the 20 quicker?
Open house.
Sphere of influence?
Reach out, yeah, do your 10 a day, because if you do your 10 a day consistently, you're gonna get there faster than somebody who's doing 5 a day, or somebody who's doing 5 every other day, or somebody who's doing 3 every time someone has a conversation with them, right? Right, you're being active, that definitely makes a difference. The other thing is script practice. Remember, if you're not practicing with someone on your scripts, then you are practicing with your client, your potential clients, and your sphere. Just remember that. Okay, make sense? All right, so how do you actually build your career? Well, you make phone calls and you lead generate, right? That is your number one activity. It's your one thing, remember? Spoiler alert. Yeah, lead generate. Which can also be a whole lot of fun, you guys. I mean, I don't want you thinking, oh, that sounds really boring. Like talking to the people you know is being a good friend. Like it's like, you're actually, I mean, when I first got into the business, that was kind of my script. Was like, I'm gonna be a better friend now because I'm gonna call you once a quarter and touch base with you. Yes.
I was talking to Bob Carver, I don't know if you know him or not, but he's highly successful. His company,
Yes.
Weathers Realty, he joined with Keller Williams, big reason why I joined. But he doesn't have to work another day in his life. But he says, he told me yesterday, he said, you know, people ask me, how do I get my leads? He says, I told them, I just walk around. I get them by walking around. It's just every day in normal life, you bump into people and it becomes a lifestyle of not pushing yourself on people, but just adding value to their day.
Adding value,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I thought, yeah, that's really, anybody can do that because we all walk around every day, you know.
It's very true. And when you're Bob Cartwright and you've been around for a long time,
You know a lot of people.
people know you,
Yeah.
right? Because you built those relationships.
Referrals. too.
Yes, there's a lot more hustle in the beginning.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Okay, so if you guys were to call, if I was to say get on the phone right now with the 5 people that you like the most, what piece of value could you bring to them right now? What just happened?
Yeah.
Yes, I like that answer. It's not exactly where I was going, but I like that answer. Yeah,
Good answer.
absolutely. What just happened in the stock market?
Oh,
Interest rates went down.
They're phenomenal. Like, hello, everybody you know. Do you know the interest rates is totally dropped? Do you need to refinance? Because, like, hello. That's a conversation we all need to be having. That's showing up a value. And by the way, you know me, so you know Keller Mortgage. You can refi with Keller Mortgage. Saves you money on the refi, too. I didn't ask anyone to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. But is that not something I should be having a conversation about? I mean, why would you? Unless you had an amazing rate, now it's time to refi. Like it just dropped drastically. This is where we show up with value, right? You don't even always have to show up asking for the referral. Sometimes you're just showing up saying, hey, market just dropped. Considering refinancing? I'm trying to watch your money for you here, right? Yeah, these are value things. Make sense? All right, how many of you completed the disc? Did you all complete the disc?
Yeah.
But you haven't completed the disc. Did, so you would have gotten that in an email from Sam. So search DISC in your emails and see if she sent it to you. It's just an online, it takes about 25 minutes to complete. You wanna get that done.
oh,
You've done that.
I've done it, I thought you were talking about the results, I'm going, I haven't gotten the results.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do that. Scott Lori marketing questionnaire, has everybody completed that questionnaire? Okay, so that one's really important, you wanna make sure that you complete that. And I want you guys to know, Scott Lori marketing is somebody that the Market Center pays to help us with our onboarding. So let them do all that back of the house stuff for you. All right, and transfer your contacts to command, we talked about that. All right, you've chosen a great career and we're here to help. That is what I have for you today. I'm gonna take you all, has everyone been into the other office just to see? Okay, so I wanna walk you around the office just so you guys can get kind of familiar with everything. But first I wanna see if you have any questions, and then I'll give you the little, penny tour.
Oh, actually, one
Yeah.
thing. I received an email in regards to MailChimp.
Yes.
Company name would be put there. You need to set that up, actually, because we're doing that.
The MailChimp account, if you want to send, so you can set up your business to send out, like, if you wanna create newsletters to send to your and you would create that in MailChimp.
Should I create on MailChimp then, or should I do that?
Yes, you
now?
can.
Okay.
The most important thing you wanna give people is a neighborhood nurture, so they can see what's for sale in real estate, cause that's what you're resourcing. You guys, everybody runs a real estate business differently. You're gonna sit down and have a conversation with Todd, you're gonna sit down and have a conversation with Dean, you're gonna get totally different. Like, everybody runs a real estate business differently. My personal opinion is, if I wanna know how to clean my floors, I'll go to Pinterest. You're a realtor, tell me about real estate. Show me what's for sale in the areas I'm interested in. That's what I want.